It is daily delivery debate time with Star Tribune columnist Lavelle Neal III. Lavelle, how you doing?
Doing good. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Last week we were in kind of that space where nothing was happening, no games. A lot has happened since then, Lavelle, and I think there's some pertinent stuff to get to in a lot of different spaces. So I want to engage you. Number one, we learned a few days ago that Justin Ishbia, the only known, at least publicly known, publicized, known, uh, interested billionaire in the Twins, is no longer in that conversation. He's going to increase his stake in the White Sox, reportedly. What does that news mean to the sale of the Twins, in your estimation?
I mean, I think these things happen when someone expressed interest, and even though they were interested, we don't know how interested they were. Um, so that has to be taken in consideration. I know I've got some friends who think like the sky has fallen and this thing is a disaster. And I said, well, there was never a deal put together to fall apart. They're like, well, the twin cell fell apart. I said, no, it's not falling apart. We still don't know the entire group of people who are interested in this team. This country's got a lot of billionaires and
Yes.
a lot of sports fans are billionaires. So I still think there's a chance the team's going to be sold. Um, I had a friend of mine also point out, he's like, well, I saw this coming a month ago. I said, why would you say that? He said, well, the Ishbias already have businesses in Chicago. They're entrenched there, and they own part of the White Sox. If you have a chance to own in the White Sox, why wouldn't you just get involved in buying the White Sox and the Minnesota Twins? They're already minority owners. They've got no go ahead to buy out other minority owners. And Jerry Reinsdorf is ready to sell, apparently. He had told his family previously that if something happened to him, to keep the Bulls and sell the White Sox. Um, so I was like, to me, he's ready to sell. And the Ishbias where they're already entrenched, already know the landscape, already know how the politics work there, can just eventually become owners of the Chicago White Sox. This is not the end of the world for the Twins. Maybe they won't have someone identified by opening day. I'm still getting indications that there's still multiple people interested in this franchise. So, are they interested in the number that the Twins want to sell? I am not sure yet. I think that's gotten interesting because all of a sudden we had a couple stories pop open here in recent days. Well, the Twins could be pulled off the market. Well, to me, that's just posturing, trying to get the number as high as possible,
Right.
threatening to take the team off the market to see if someone will throw in a couple more $100 million into the pot here. So, which I think it could be very possible here. So, just sit back. These things are never a smooth process, and it's just like it takes time. It's like when you're buying a house, it takes several weeks to close a deal and move in, and when you're trying to sell $1 billion asset, it's going to take a little bit longer. So just be patient.
Nobody wants to be patient these days, Lavelle, which is part of the
Yep.
problem. I agree with you on this one. We're not going to have too much of a debate. I don't think the sky is falling. I do think there are certainly other interested parties. And your point about the billionaires out there, I wrote about that earlier this week. I looked it up, like Forbes keeps track. Like back when Carl Pohlad bought the team in 1984, different era. Baseball team didn't require you to be a billionaire back then. But in the United States, there were 12 billionaires in 1984. Now there's like 800. Worldwide, there's like 2,700 billionaires right now. And you're right. A lot of them sports fans. A lot of them probably just say, hey, this might be an investment we want to get into. Less from a business standpoint, more from a, hey, this will be a cool new toy kind of standpoint, although they would probably still run it generally like a business. You don't want the asset to completely, you know, get away from you. But I think the one negative of this is that the White Sox and Twins kind of went on the market roughly the same time, or, Chicago was maybe a few weeks after the Twins. And that even with the connection that Ishbia has to the White Sox, that someone looked at both of these things and said, I'd rather do this, not that. Maybe that's bad luck for the Twins or just their perspective, but that doesn't necessarily bode well for, someone who probably kicked the tires on both and decided to go with the White Sox.
Oh yeah, I mean you could look at it that way. I just think it's a proximity thing that just makes it easier. And Reinsdorf can vouch for them as minority holders of the White Sox, and I mean, they're Big Ten guys. Maybe that fuel part of their interest in the Twins, because it's kind of a Big Ten state as well. But they decided to go after the big dog, and I was surprised to read that the White Sox are only valued at 1.9 billion, and that's
Yeah.
a couple $100 million more than what the Twins are reportedly seeking. I found that interesting. And if I had a choice between the Twins for 1.7 and the White Sox for 1.9, I think I'd lean White Sox, but that's not much of a slam dunk. The Twins have a great stadium. They got a lease situation that's favorable and could be extended to 2059. Their roster is ready to win. They've got a good farm system. The White Sox are coming off a horrible season, one of the worst in baseball history, if not the worst. Their stadium is bland, and Ryan Storfer is making noises about wanting a new stadium before all this mess happened. But it is Chicago, and it is like the third largest market in America. And there's something to be said about having a huge asset like that in one of the nation's larger markets. So I think there's pros and cons to both. But Twins to me is not a bad purchase if you're a billionaire and don't care where what part of the country you're buying into.
Indeed. I think it's the long story short is I don't think this is sky is falling. I do think, though, that it will require a little bit more patience on the part of Twins fans who are probably eager to move on from all of this.